Muhammadu Buhari has now assured the people of southeast Nigeria of a more robust and drastic approach to infrastructure and human empowerment across the region. He made the comment in Awka, the Anambra state capital, during the grand finale campaign for the All Progressives Congress governorship candidate Tony Nwoye in the state. Addressing the audience, the president expressed optimism over the victory of Tony Nwoye while assuring the people of the state and indeed the southeast in general of more attention, especially in the areas of infrastructure.
Next year, we have earmarked and we are expecting the National Assembly to pass what we intend to do about infrastructure, and the Southeast is going to benefit tremendously.
Earlier, the national chairman of the party, John Oyegun, and the Imo State governor, as well as chairman APC Governors Forum, Rocha Okorocha, expressed displeasure over the inability of the Igbos to key into the national grid.
Is that a promise? Is it a promise? If it is, give yourself 3 more years. And I need to know what to compare, but to state the facts correct. One, that your visit today is to fix that broken political bridge that links the southeast to the center.
The event also featured the defection of the first son of Odumogu Ojukwu, Emeka Ojukwu Jr. from APGA to the APC, who stated that his father's pictures are often used to deceive the people.
It is time for Ndibu to move from the recesses of the periphery to the center. It is time for us to leave the shadows and come to the light. Every once in a while, they will bring out my father's picture and they'll come up with a fancy slogan here and there to confuse you so that a few can remain the big fish.
Meanwhile, the Nigeria Police Force has debunked claims of withdrawing the ADC attached to the Anambra State Governor, Willie Obiano, saying it's a rumor that has no basis. The State Police Public Relations Officer Nkiru Wode, while speaking with journalists on Wednesday evening, says the officer was only invited for election briefing and has been restored to his position.
To His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Anambra State, Dr. Willie Obiano. I just want to inform the general public that the ADC was never removed, neither was he redeployed. He was only called to the headquarters for proper briefing as a result of the past experiences we have had in other commands that could dent the image of the Nigerian police force.
She says it's the norm before any election for the police to withdraw policemen attached to politicians and other dignitaries in order to ensure neutrality.
Usual practice, you understand, to withdraw policemen attached to dignitaries during election. But it may interest you that the government house precisely will have over 221 police personnel working at the government house. So for the command to have called just the ADC to report back to the headquarters for proper briefing on how to discharge his duties according to the law.
Recall that Governor Obiano had raised alarm that his life is not safe contesting the November 18th governorship election in the state following the withdrawal of his ADC. Meanwhile, earlier the Senate ordered that the Inspector General of Police, Ibrahim Idris, to effect the immediate return of Anambra State Governor Willie Obiano's security aides. This is coming in the wake of the news of the withdrawal of the security details ahead of this weekend's governorship polls in the state. Obiano, expressing fears for his safety as published in the media, sparked the debate at the floor of the Red Chamber. Our correspondent Godfrey Shemoge has details in this report presented from our studios.
Raising the subject at the Senate chamber before the start of Wednesday's plenary under Order 43 of the Senate rules, Senator Emmanuel Boacha, representing Taraba South, says the withdrawal of the governor's security aids amounts to his losing his immunity, even as a serving governor. He expressed shock that such a step has been taken in the guise of creating a level playing field for all candidates ahead of the weekend's elections.
Candidates should be allowed level playing ground. Agreed. But nobody should do a thing as crude and shrewd as what happened in Anambra. Yes. I think, Mr. President, I take exception as a senator. I owe it a duty, a constitutional duty, to tell Nigerians that this thing was wrong, and I will make attempt to even try to reach the president after this session.
In their contribution, Senator Abiodun Olujimi, representing Ekiti South, and Senate leader Ahmed Lawan said the Anambra situation has set a bad precedent that could snowball into something worse in the lead-up of the 2019 general polls if left unchecked. They noted that the Anambra issue was strictly a police matter and not the handiwork of the APC-led government.
2019 is very close by. We are approaching elections, and this is an ominous sign of what is to come after now.
That was an entirely police affairs matter. And let me say this, I support the position taken here that we need to provide a level playing field. This is a situation that shows, when we do that, how democratic we are.
The Senate thereafter resolved to order the Inspector General of Police to return all the security aids, including the aide-de-camp of the Anambra State Governor.
Did the right in accommodating this, so it was against our rules, just to show that there is no intent to cover up also. But what is wrong, and I think it should not be misinterpreted that whatever actions of the IG or the police was a directive of government, and this is purely, as leader said, and the IG needs to do the right thing to ensure that we continue to protect this democracy and immediately restore the aids of the governor.
The Senate referred the matter to the Committee on Police Affairs to carry out a follow-up and report at Thursday's plenary.
Meanwhile, the Nigerian senators urged the Ministry of Health to, as a matter of urgency, procure sufficient quantity of effective anti-malaria drugs for supply free of charge to all public facilities, health facilities in the country. This is part of resolutions reached at the Senate during plenary on Wednesday, following a motion sponsored by Senator Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso of Kano Central.
World Health Organization estimated that 212 million cases of malaria and 429,000 deaths are recorded annually, and that sub-Saharan Africa.
In their submission, Senators Barnabas Gemade and Ma Ohumboa echoed the views of the motion sponsor and called for urgent measures to combat the health challenge.
Most medicines that have been produced for the purpose of fighting malaria have lost their potency. Because the virus has become immune to these medicines.
It's not new. It's been prevalent in this country because we're in an endemic environment as far as malaria is concerned. But what is important and paramount here is that we must cultivate and inculcate in our way of living to live in a hygienic environment.
Meanwhile, the Senate also resolved to urge the Nigerian government to increase the annual funding for the Federal Ministry of Health, as well as ensure the full implementation of the National Health Act of 2014. Former Majority Leader of the Senate, Ali Ndume, has finally rejoined the senatorial fold as he was part of Wednesday's plenary with the rest of his colleagues at the Red Chamber. The Borno senator, who was suspended for asking for an investigation over allegations of the import of a bulletproof Range Rover with fake documents involving Senate President Bukola Saraki and that of perjury involving Dino Melaye, says he holds no grudge against anyone. The senator, who made this position known while addressing members of the Senate press corps at the National Assembly complex on Wednesday, says what has played out is characteristic of democracy.
So I really don't want you to feel that I'm taking this on anybody. No. This is democracy, and there are so many things that are in democracy that will come to pass that will test the democracy, strengthen the democracy. I didn't go to court for my personal reason.
You're watching Galaxy Stories from the Green Chamber, where the House of Representatives on Wednesday called on the National Universities Commission and UC to allow fresh graduates enroll for master's degree programs in universities without requiring them to serve in the NYSC. Moving the motion on the floor of the Green Chamber, Honorable Sonny Zoro from Jigawa State says fresh graduates from Nigerian universities are barred from enrolling for master's degree programs in universities without having participated in the National Youth Service Corps program as a prerequisite. The Speaker, Yakubu Dogara, noted that graduates who schooled abroad are freely admitted for the programs without being required to have participated in the NYSC.
Compels all those who have finished from Nigerian universities and those who have schooled abroad to serve the National Youth Service Scheme from the year that law came into force. So there is absolutely no contradiction. We have all gone through that service. We are all happy that our children will go to that service, but a situation whereby a fresh graduate is stranded for 2 years before mobilization into the youth service scheme is a case of injustice.
Even in the form for application of masters in Nigeria, you are required to even put your NYSC certificate number. There's a column there. That's the opinion expressed by Honorable TJ. And that's what Johnson has said, that without your NYSC discharge certificate, you cannot even be given the master's admission in Nigeria. So we don't know what is the truth. Well, but we have to establish that, and that will be very critical in taking the decision that we'll take.
The House therefore referred the motion to Committee on Justice for further consultation. Now, the federal government has approved the engagement of a Malaysian-based consultant to conduct a study that will aid implementation of the National Economic Recovery and Growth Plan at the cost of 458 million naira. Minister of Budget and National Planning, Udo Udoma, disclosed this at the end of the Federal Executive Council meeting, presided over by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo. The council also approved the construction of Gombe Road at the cost of 27 billion naira.
The council approved a memorandum that was brought by the Ministry of Budget and National Planning to retain some consultants to help us to conduct some pilot labs. This is part of our implementation strategy for the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan.
Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, says that approval has been given for the construction of Gombe Road at the cost of 27.233 billion naira.
Two documents. One was a memorandum that required council's approval. The other was a note to inform council, but they're important because they follow closely and interrelate very importantly with the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan.
The Lagos State government has reconstituted the Joint Security Task Force established to tackle the Apapa gridlock and other security threats within the axis brought about by the blockade of major roads in the area by tankers and containerized trucks. The Apapa gridlock in the past few weeks had worsened due to breakdown of operations at the ports located in the axis. Rising from the monthly Security Council meeting chaired by the State Governor Akinwumi Ambode and attended by heads of security formations in Lagos, the state government says the task force comprising of police, military, officials of Lagos State Traffic Management Authority LASMA and the Federal Road Safety Corps FRC would immediately be deployed to the axis to ensure sanity and contain any potential security threat.
issues of traffic robberies and other social vices. And this is paying off. A few days ago, based on intelligence, well over 35 notorious traffic robbers were arrested around the Lupeju Oshodi axis.
On the ongoing clampdown on commercial motorcycles, popularly known as Okada, on restricted routes, Police Commissioner Imohimi Edgar says the security agencies in the state have been given marching orders to strictly enforce the law.
We have introduced more marine boats. More marine boats have been introduced in our water channels and waterways.
The police boss, however, assured residents that every necessary arrangement has been made to ensure a peaceful Yuletide season. In a bid to promote unity and development in Nigeria, Igbo think tank group Zuma Umana, under the auspices of Afenifere and Ohaneze, are opening a new vista relationship in reconstructing the narratives of their existence. This is against the backdrop of the special bond between former head of state late General Johnson Agoy Rosen and former Western Nigeria Governor late Colonel Adekunle Fatuyi. Right activist and spokesperson of the Pan-Yoruba Social Cultural Group, Yinka Odumaki, disclosed this in Lagos while unveiling the planned opening of a new prospect in the Igbo-Yoruba relationship within the Federal Republic of Nigeria, with the theme Handshake Across the Niger.
On the 11th of January 2018, the Yoruba and Igbo nations will come together in Enugu to celebrate our heroes past, Lieutenant General Aguiyi Ironsi and Colonel Fatuyi, the two inseparable souls who are linked in their final hours of death in a common bond to create a good narrative for a good inter-ethnic relationship between Yoruba and Igbo, which we want to commend to the rest of Nigeria as a basis of mutual understanding and coexistence.
Odumaki says no ethnic group should be left out in the quest to foster peace and understanding in Nigeria.
On our list, we are inviting all the 36 governors of Nigeria to start with. Bodies like ACF, we are extending, even not that forum, we have extended invitation to them. But this is a plan, because the two men are from here. Fatuyi from the west, the rest from the east. The planning is being done by us. We are doing Enugu, but we will invite all the invitables to the event.
Speaking, Senator Chris Ayawu says late Aguiyi Ironsi and later Adekunle Fatuyi will both be remembered for the symbolism of their deaths, noting that the bond has shown the need for lasting union among Nigerians.
But we find that we are all linked together in one common, thread of humanity. The things that bond us or join us together are actually far more and far deeper than the things that separate us. And because we have been very emotional, we have fixated our own understanding on the negatives. We have missed this point. Now we have to go to the positive. Now we have to discover the good things between us.
The group believes that no matter the cultural difference, beneficial, purposeful, and lasting union can be established. The National Population Commission (NPC) has commenced the enumeration area demarcation in Agege local government area of Lagos State as part of plans by the Commission to break every local government in Nigeria into smaller units. Speaking during the exercise, the Federal Commissioner (NPC) representing Lagos, Abimbola Saleh Hudeye, stressed the need to update the database of Nigerians considering birth rate, death rate, and the rate at which houses are constantly being built in the country.
If you do not do a proper and thorough enumeration area demarcation, the likelihood of the census being successful is remote. That's why we're taking our time to do this even though Mr. President has not given us a proclamation, we are waiting Mr. President's proclamation for a census. We decided to start on time so that by the time the proclamation comes, we would have been able to cover as many local governments as possible, and then we can now update and review whatever we have done at this time.
Some officials of the NPC highlight challenges encountered during area demarcations and how they've been able to achieve success thus far. The head of technical department of the commission explains that they have engaged different scientific applications and gadgets to aid in narrowing down the map of Agege, and this thus far has helped in the much achievement they've made.
Because this particular locality is not a well laid out area, so we have had, in order to be able to carve out our enumeration areas, we have had to move the way the snakes moves.
Though we have our challenges because some people turn out sometimes we used to be low and people don't respond the way we expected, and some put up attitudes.
We don't really have much challenges. It is that when we are trying to call some of the mothers to come out to register the birth child of their children, some they respond while some did not respond.
Yes, definitely we are creating a database. And as we move along with this map, we have the PDA, the Personal Digital Assistance, which is Android based. We take whatever information we are taking from the building will be stored there. After each day's work, we have our GIS assistants and experts in the office. Every day, they download whatever we have taken from the field. As we are putting numbering, we are taking attribute data, the characteristics of those buildings, what kind of building, the use of the building, the type of buildings, and those who are staying in the building, how many households, how many persons in some selected houses. All these will form our database.
One, when it's time for census this time, we intend to conduct a biometric-based census. That is, we want to capture fingerprints and facial expression. So the era of dubious counting is over. And that's why if you get the enumeration area demarcation well, it will be difficult for anybody to manipulate figures.
The enumeration area demarcation by the NPC, which is the fourth phase, is meant to last for 6 weeks. Aftermath reports of military takeover in Zimbabwe, President Muhammadu Buhari has now called for calm, peace and respect for the constitution in the country. The president urged all political and military stakeholders in Zimbabwe to avoid any action that may plunge the country into unnecessary conflict and impact negatively on the region. According to President Muhammadu Buhari, every attempt must be made to resolve all contentious issues by constitutional means in Zimbabwe to save the country from avoidable political instability. The appeal by President Buhari is coming in the wake of reported military takeover as a result of rising political tension in the southern African country, sequel to President Robert Mugabe's recent removal of former Vice President Emerson Mnangagwa. This led to the threat by the head of armed forces of Zimbabwe, General Constantine Ochingwe, and saying that the military would not hesitate to step in when the issue had to do with protecting the revolution. We're taking another break now. When we come back, we'll bring you updates from other stories we have lined up. Join us again.